The one thing they don't tell you about the night shift is that silence isn't peaceful. It's an absence, a void where something should be, and when you drive long enough, you start to feel what's filling that void. Last night, something was filling it, and it was following me. This ride felt different before it even began. It wasn't the late hour, or the destination deep in the unincorporated outskirts of Cleveland. It was a feeling in the air, a stillness that was heavier than normal, the kind that presses down on you. I remember thinking, this is a night I'm going to carry with me. I just didn't know how heavy it would be. It was just after 2:17 a.m., during the dead zone of the night shift. I was driving my gray Camry down I-90, where the industrial stretch gives way to nothing. Abandoned factories stood against the sky like hollow skeletons. The streetlights overhead flickered, buzzing faintly, casting these long, distorted shadows across the cracked asphalt. To the east, the dark outline of Lake Erie seemed to swallow all sound. There was no traffic, no wind, just the low hum of my engine and the occasional tick of cooling metal. My cell service had dropped to 1 bar. That's when the request came through. A pickup from a closed 24-hour gas station on the corner. The pumps were taped off, windows boarded, but its sign was still glowing faintly. A ghost light in the oppressive dark. I pulled up, the tires crunching on loose gravel. The automatic doors didn't slide open. The place was a tomb. Under the dim, flickering sign stood a figure, a man. He was just standing there, staring out at the road, not at my car. He was covered in what looked like mud or wet dirt from his boots to his shoulders. His clothes were dark, torn at the knees. When I unlocked the doors, he didn't react at first. He just stood there for a few seconds, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. Then, slowly, he opened the back door and slid inside. He didn't say a word, just a soft click as the door shut, sealing us in the quiet. But that wasn't the strangest part. As I pulled away, I glanced in my rearview mirror. He was looking back at the empty gas station, his expression unreadable. He never gave me a destination. The app just showed a set of coordinates, a single blinking dot on a gray, unlabeled road about 20 miles out. As we drove, the silence in the car became a physical presence. I tried the usual small talk. Long night? Nothing. Headed home? Just the faint sound of his breathing, slow and steady. The air was thick with the smell of wet earth and something else, something metallic, like old rain on rust. I kept my eyes on the road, but every few seconds, my gaze would flick to the rearview mirror. He was perfectly still, his head turned just slightly towards the window, watching the dark trees blur past. It felt less like he was a passenger and more like he was cargo. Something being moved from one dark place to another. This is where I almost turned the car around. The feeling of wrongness was overwhelming, but I'm a professional. I finished my rides. The GPS told me to turn onto a narrow access road. The pavement gave way to gravel, and the trees closed in around us, their branches bending inward, blocking what little moonlight there was. The headlights cut a weak tunnel through the pitch. "We're getting close," I said, my voice sounding strange in the quiet. He finally moved. He leaned forward, just enough for me to see his eyes in the mirror. They were dark. And they weren't looking at me. They were looking past me, at the road ahead. Tinny spoke, his voice a low, raspy whisper. "Don't stop," he said. "No matter what. Don't stop." My heart hammered against my ribs. The GPS chimed. "You have arrived." We were in the middle of nowhere, just an old, rusted gate blocking a dirt path that disappeared into the woods. And that's when everything shifted. I turned to look at him. Really look at him? For the first time. "Sir, this is the spot. The ride is over." He didn't move. He just stared at the gate. "She's waiting," he whispered, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Who's waiting?" I asked, my hand hovering over the button to end the ride on my phone. He finally turned his head and looked directly at me in the rearview mirror. His face was pale, his eyes wide. "Just get me to the back entrance," he said, his voice cracking with an urgency that chilled me to the bone. "She doesn't like to be kept waiting." I looked at the gate, then back at the GPS. There was no hospital marked on this map, just an empty patch of forgotten land. But he was looking at something beyond that gate. Something I couldn't see. I shouldn't have done it. Every instinct screamed at me to end the ride. To get out of there. But his fear felt real. Contagious. I saw a small, barely visible break in the fence a few hundred feet down the road. I drove through it, my tires sinking into the soft mud. The path led to a clearing. And there it was, a sprawling, derelict building, an abandoned asylum. Its windows, like vacant eyes, staring into the night. We drove around to the back, to a service entrance where a single, bare bulb flickered, casting a sickly yellow light. Here, he said. He got out of the car, leaving the door open. The smell of damp soil and decay rushed in. He walked towards the door, then stopped and turned back to me. She followed me, he said. I tried to lose her, but the silence, it brought her right here. He looked past my car, down the dark road we'd just come from. He wasn't telling me everything. I realized he wasn't running from something. He was being delivered. He disappeared inside the dark building without another word. I didn't wait. I threw the car in reverse, mud splattering, and sped back down the path, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against the quiet hum of the engine. As I reached the main road, I glanced in my rear-view mirror one last time. For a split second, caught in the sweep of my headlights, I saw her, a small figure standing just inside the gate, a child, no older than 10, holding something in her hands. She was clean, perfectly clean, not a speck of dirt on her. She just stood there, watching me go, her face a pale oval in the darkness. The silence of the night rushed back in. But this time, it felt different. It felt like it was watching me leave. I drove until the sun came up. The image of that girl at the gate burned into my mind. I never got a rating for that ride. The trip history just showed an error. The destination coordinates gone, as if the ride never happened. But it did. I can still smell the wet dirt in my car. Sometimes, when I'm driving the late shift and the road gets quiet, I feel it. That heavy, watching silence. I turn the radio up, but I can never quite drown it out. The night shift shows you things you can't unsee. And sometimes you realize you weren't just the driver. You were part of the story. If this felt too real, say something below. The night remembers more than we think.